Society does not truly hate deep thinkers. It simply doesn't know what to do with them. When most people speak, they seek comfort. When a thinker speaks, they seek truth. And truth rarely comforts. The deeper you think, the more invisible you become. Because what fascinates the surface often repels the depth. The world is drawn to brightness, not stillness, to noise, not reflection. Yet thinkers live in that stillness. They see what hides behind smiles, what echoes beneath silence. They notice the pauses between words, the meaning behind habits. And that awareness creates distance, not because they wish to be distant, but because others step away. There is a quiet sorrow in understanding too much. You begin to see patterns that others don't. You sense motives before words are spoken. You notice the masks people wear so well that it becomes painful to play along. But here's the paradox. The more clearly you see reality, the harder it is to participate in it. Deep thinkers don't belong to crowds because crowds survive on agreement. And thinkers live on questions. They don't seek attention, they seek connection. But in a world addicted to validation, connection feels like rebellion. Society praises intelligence, but only when it entertains. The moment it begins to confront, it becomes inconvenient. People say they want truth, but what they often want is reassurance dressed as wisdom. And when a mind refuses to play that game, it becomes a threat. Most people don't fear knowledge itself. They fear what it does to certainty. Knowledge makes belief unstable. Awareness shatters comfort. Consciousness exposes illusion. And so the thinker becomes a mirror, one that reflects not the image people admire, but the one they deny. That reflection can be terrifying. It whispers, "You are not who you pretend to be." And rather than face that truth, many turn away, rejecting the mirror, not the image. So they label the thinker as arrogant, cold, or strange. It's easier to dismiss the messenger than to question the message. But solitude, for the deep thinker, is not a punishment. It's a necessity. Because in solitude, the mind can finally breathe without the weight of pretending. There's a kind of peace that comes with understanding, but also a quiet ache. You realize that meaning is not something found in others' approval, but in your own awareness of existence. You stop chasing belonging and start cultivating clarity. It doesn't mean you stop loving people. It just means you love them without illusions, not for who they claim to be, but for who they are beneath their fears. This is what makes deep thinkers seem detached, not because they lack emotion, but because they see the temporary nature of everything we cling to. They see the comedy in ego, the fragility of pride, the absurdity of competition, and the beauty in impermanence. And so they live quietly, somewhere between connection and detachment, between love and understanding. Society may never celebrate them, but history remembers them, not as those who fit in, but as those who saw through. To think deeply is to live between two worlds, the one that exists and the one that could exist if more people dare to look inward. It is to carry both hope and heartbreak, hope for what humanity could become, and heartbreak for what it chooses to remain. But in that balance lies freedom, because once you stop fearing misunderstanding, you start living authentically. You no longer hide your thoughts to protect comfort. You speak, not to persuade, but to express. You think, not to prove, but to understand. And you walk alone, not because no one understands you, but because solitude is where truth finally speaks.